Hi everybody, welcome. We are reading Ben and Me by Robert Dawson, chapter 10 today. La Belle France. Of course, during these stirring times, I came in contact with all of the great men of the colonies. The one who impressed me most was naturally General George Washington. Not only was he a magnificent figure of a man and a soldier, but the wheat grown at Mount Vernon was of superb quality. There were always a few grains to be found in his boot tops and pocket flaps. Quite a few crumbs, too, so I always looked forward to seeing him. On one of his visits to Ben, however, he appeared greatly cast down. The situation of our colonies, Dr. Franklin, The situation of our colonies, Dr. Franklin, he said, is becoming desperate. Our brave soldiers lack shoes and uniforms, powder and arms. I fear that we must appeal to some foreign power for aid. But to what country shall we appeal? That seems to be the question. Of course there is Spain. French pastry, I whispered in Ben's ear. Of course, France, said Ben. There's Russia, suggested the general. French wines, I hissed. And France, said Ben. There are Denmark and Sweden, the general said. Beautiful ladies, I whispered. France, said Ben. Undoubtedly France. Very well, said General Washington. France it seems to be. Dr. Franklin, will you go to the court of France to plead our case? It is a heavy responsibility for you. On your success depends our whole hope of victory. Ben rose. We will, General, we will, he said determinedly. We? asked the general. I of course. I will. When do I sail? At once, said the general, rising and looking very noble. The armed sloop Reprisal is ready to sail. With you, Dr. Franklin, will go the hopes and prayers of the new nation and the ideals and aspirations. And Amos, I added, but he didn't hear me. Look at Amos chewing on that cracker. So we sailed, and the less is said about the trip, the better. I always did despise the water, and the Atlantic Ocean contained more ugly, gray, unpleasant churning water than I ever dreamed could exist. I was seasick, awfully seasick, and just to make things worse, Ben was not. He was disgustingly well and annoyingly active. Look, poor Amos laying in bed. He had a theory for setting the sails, which he told the captain would greatly increase our speed. This kept him on the deck for several days, to my great relief, but it was suddenly ended by a tremendous outburst of profanity on the deck. Ben entered our cabin hastily, followed by angry rumblings from the captain. No vision, Amos, he said sadly, no vision. Blurg, I said. Okay, I'll be back for chapter 11 very soon. Thank you so much for joining me.